Hello, and welcome back to 950 Club Podcast, the anime and manga podcast. Today, we're going to be doing another After Hours special. Now, the premise of After Hours is basically what it is. After every session we do, we tend to have conversations about other stuff, from pop culture to politics to basic living. And, of course, whenever we record Jamaal, it's always a welcome session, just like the old days when we used to hang out after work. Yeah, it was our thing. And yeah, it's a strong connect bond we've had since those days, and of course, how we shaped our podcast. It takes me back to good old days when we didn't have to worry about recording. What we do naturally. So hey, if you're interested in listening about Star Wars or Netflix again, I know, I'm getting tired of talking about Netflix, but hey, streaming wars are still going on, so we will update you with that stuff. And of course, we're going to talk about some more anime. So sit back and relax and listen in to another After Hour special.
Okay, so after talking about Funimation and Crunchyroll, I want to get into one of the other anime providers that has been going through some issues lately, and that's Netflix. Now, so I'm worried about Comey. I'm really worried about Comey. The 13th episode is out. The 14th episode should be coming out tomorrow.
Okay.
Does it? I thought Comey drops Thursdays.
No, now it's Wednesday.
Is Wednesdays now?
They announced the Wednesday, the 4th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the delay threw me off because I initially thought it'd debut, but once again, Netflix, with their dubbers, giving a couple weeks. Understandable. It's just, I didn't know.
So now that they've invested in anime, but now that they're scaling back on animation, what does that mean for the future of Comey and other shows?
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's because I know, like Jack and I, we watched Castlevania.
Yes.
And we enjoyed that. I watched Baki on there because that was a Netflix original.
Yes.
Don't they
With
have
Comey.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
They do.
I believe so.
The newest
Yeah.
arc, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they have some original content there. So it's I don't know if the anime falls under the animation or not.
Well, I don't know if they're producing it in-house or they're working with different. I believe they're working with different studios.
Well, with the case with Comey, for example, like Comey initially, I remember Crunchyroll showing the preview, and Netflix. How I got more into anime is through Netflix, ironically enough, but it was when Funimation, Netflix were kind of like buddies, quote unquote, and similar to Disney and Marvel technically was like, hey, yeah, just make some Marvel Knights stuff, whatever. Now Disney has their own thing, and they want to take they took the Marvel out of Netflix and stuff like that.
Well, because Disney bought Marvel.
Yeah. Business wise, the last 5 years, and that's so fascinating. But 5 or 6 years ago, that's when Daredevil showed. Hey, time flies. Almost 7 more, I think, about it. 7 or 8 years. Wow. So
Well, Netflix was producing kind of like their television universe.
Yes.
Right.
This was their streaming universe. It was essentially the Marvel Knights.
Yes.
With Punisher, Luke Cage,
Jessica Jones,
the
Defenders.
and,
yeah. Even good old Iron Fist.
Yeah, I was just about to say you missed Iron Fist.
How could I forget about Iron Fist?
That nobody cared about. That's the one show I didn't watch.
That was so weird.
I was not watching that Iron Fist show.
And there you go. That's a modern
Such a
day,
weird show.
quote unquote, modern day martial arts film.
Trash.
Yeah, no.
I was not watching that show.
That was
I was
Jack
not
Furt.
watching that show, and I loved all those other shows. I loved Luke Cage. I love Jessica Jones. The Punisher is the man. I was not watching Iron Fist.
And that's another indicator of Netflix and the direction that things are going in that Disney, when they launched their streaming service, they realized that Marvel was going to kind of be Star Wars and Marvel was kind of be the cornerstone of their streaming service.
That was the entirety of their content. You know, when Disney Plus first came out, we all were like, "There's nothing on here."
No,
it was a weird stall. Yeah.
And then once WandaVision started,
is when it started to take off.
And then I'm noticing, okay, they do a Marvel show, they do a Star Wars show, then they do a Marvel show, then they do a Star Wars show, because they're like, this is the content that we need to get, that we have to put on here to get people to come in. They have their own other stuff. Like, I want to watch the Proud Family revival.
I'm curious.
I haven't watched it yet.
It was one of my favorite Saturday morning cartoons. Yeah.
And they've done other things, like they've brought back. Didn't they do like Girl Meets World or something?
Well, that was on there. That was on there. That was on the Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, they've done. I know they did some other like Disney Plus content where they kind of re-rocked some show. Too? They didn't do Sister, no.
Or something. Wasn't there a reboot of that?
Not that I know of.
Man, that's fine. That's what I'm trying to get at. I feel like I'm catching.
There was Raven's Home.
There you go. That was one. That was one. So
yeah, because we all look alike to you, right?
No, goddamn. Oh, I got confused. But basically, like with this is partially of it too. Oh, this guy. Partially because of what's out there, you still have to scroll back. I finally saw Soul. I finally caught up.
Soul was great.
Yeah, and Boba Fett, the quote unquote.
The Book of Boba Fett.
No. That was called Mandalorian Season 3 featuring Boba Fett.
Yes.
Yeah, it was definitely. Yeah,
that's what
I didn't finish it yet, but I know what happens.
You just said.
No. I'm catching up. I'm catching keyword.
I don't understand why they felt they needed to give Boba Fett his supposedly own show. Because they could have worked that into a Mandalorian Season 3 easily. I don't know if it was like he was working on a different project. And so they're like, you know what? We need some filler until he comes back. And then this is what we're going to do. Because that's what it felt like. I really tried to give Boba Fett the benefit of doubt. I tried to give it a chance. And it just didn't work for me. I mean, the second episode, I think, was the best episode entirely. And I think that they let Tamora Pierce, that was when they let him be him.
Yeah.
You're like, there was anger, there was emotion. And whenever they tried to constrain that and make him be Boba Fett, it didn't work. It didn't work because he's the Clone Wars Boba Fett.
Yeah.
He's not the Star Wars Boba Fett from the originals. He's the Clone Wars character that David Filoni created for the series, and he's that scared little clone. And I think they do manage to work that out. The last episode, the confrontation with Cad Bane, I thought was really well done. That whole last arc, I thought was a lot of fun to watch. And I thought that was well done. The stuff in between, man. Oh, dude.
Once he got out that dumb tank, it got better. Like the first few episodes, like the second episode was good. But like 1, 3, 4, like it got a little rough. It was a little rough for me to get through.
Oh, yeah.
It almost felt like they knew. They just didn't have anything for Boba Fett.
Yeah. They really didn't.
It's like they knew they had nothing for Boba Fett, so they were just like, all right, we're just going to use this as a bridge to the Mandalorian Season 3 because we thought we had something with Boba Fett because they introduced him in Season 2.
And Ming-Ya's character.
And they announced that they were going to do it. And then when they really sat down and did it, they're like, we really don't have anything.
No.
Even with Ming-Ya, I'm like, what the hell? Let's move on.
I felt.
How can you mess that up?
I was really upset with like what they did with her character.
Yeah.
Because some of her dialogue was just absolutely terrible.
Yeah. She's a pro.
Like she was a champ, but they're.
I know. I sensed that was initially inclination.
This whole thing about them walking around the town. spewing out like these cliches or
Yeah.
these,
Cowboy Bebop reboot.
oh my God.
Territory.
I was like, he's like, I don't think I'm made for this. But they think you are. I'm like, oh God.
Corny.
It was so corny. It was
Corny.
so bad.
And you know, I don't like corny.
It was so bad. And then Fennec was like the Terminator. I'm
Yeah.
like, just let her kill everybody. 'Cause
Right.
She was doing that anyway.
And, well, in the when her instances in Mandalorian, she had you can tell that backstory is
She had a reputation. Yeah.
Something like, wow, okay, something about this lady.
Yeah. So I was disappointed in. I thought that Ming-Na Wen did an amazing job with what she was given, but I thought that they did a disservice to that character. They did a disservice to Boba Fett in not letting him.
we're scratching the surface.
The whole problem with Boba Fett, the show, was the name Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Unleash him. Let him be the savage that we know he is, that we saw in that second episode. Don't
preview too, yeah.
They kept trying to contain him, and it's like there's these two sides of him that are at war with each other. Just let that man go to town, and it would have been such a better show.
That's what people wanted to see, because I mean, I thought most people were more intrigued by
Mando.
No, not Mando. What's his name? The mayor of the town.
Oh,
Really?
The
mayor?
Well, not the mayor.
don't
Not the
remember.
mayor. You know the dude that had the white dude that had the free town.
Oh,
And
okay.
he was like the sheriff. Or
The sheriff,
whatever.
yeah.
He was the sheriff. I can't think of his name.
I know who you're talking about.
I'm
yeah.
trying to think of his name. But that I feel like more people were intrigued by him because that's what they expected from Boba Fett.
yeah.
And they didn't get it.
No.
They didn't get it. And I'm just like, I don't know.
He shows up, and I don't think that he's used as well as he could have been used.
I agree.
That made me kind of like, and then if everybody going to be a droid now? Everybody's just going to be a droid.
I know.
They keep
It
bringing these.
started with Rogue One.
It's like, don't kill people. Don't shoot people in the head or the heart if you don't want them to die.
Yeah.
Right.
Just don't do it.
Exactly.
Just don't reach that point in the story where everybody is essentially Darth Vader.
Yeah. Well, that's the fascinating thing about the new sequels. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan. The BB-8 is actually an interesting character, and it's the only droid. I had to think about that. I'm like, is that the only droid?
With 3PO.
Oh,
But
no, 3PO's whatever.
No, he's not whatever.
Whoa!
He's there the same way as Chewbacca's there, and the same way as the Millennium Falcon is
Fair.
there.
It's just a matter of like the new droids. Because
And Princess Leia
yeah.
and Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, they're there to lend legitimacy to that fan fiction that was written when Disney took over.
well, fair. But my thing is that after Rogue One, I think the Han Solo one too, and with little instances with Mando does okay with the droids there. A lot of droids.
No, I mean, it's like we said before. It's like the Mandalorian kind of gave people the Star Wars feel that the last three movies didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what J.J. Abrams was attempting to do with The Force Awakens, and he completely failed at it.
Yep.
Where The Mandalorian actually gave it to you. It's like, here, this is Star Wars.
From the actual fan too.
Yeah.
I would argue.
Yeah. He managed
He was
to
very respectful
Yeah.
of what it was, and
Well-
he kind of took it back. He was like, you know what? We're going to tear this down. We're going to go back to the basics, and we're just going to build from there. And that's what they did. That's all people wanted.
Well, as a quick side note, one of the things that there's a movie franchise that I felt, and I think J.J. Abrams kind of didn't get this either, is like, you can't just reference the original material. It's like, so take Aliens.
Yeah.
And then the Aliens versus Predator movies, especially like the second one, they're referencing the original material instead of using what influenced the original material. They're using the actual original material to influence them, and it's not working.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that happened with J.J. Abrams. He didn't get it. Where The Mandalorian references the original, the things that influenced like the spaghetti westerns that influenced Star Wars. He's using that cinematic tradition to recreate what the first movie captured, where J.J. Abrams is using the first movie to like influence what he's doing. He's missing the point entirely.
Yeah.
It's like, look, if you're gonna do this, you have to understand what the Buck Rogers serials, the Japanese films, the spaghetti westerns, all these things that helped Lucas shape this universe originally. J.J. Abrams fails to realize that. Oh,
Yeah, I know, and it's a case study on its own, right? Even more so than the prequels, I would argue, because of a certain film called The Last Jedi. That I love and hate, and I hate and love, and I hate more than I love. It's a tough balance. And the third movie is just nothing. It's nothing. And the first movie I hate the most because it does everything like as it should, but it does it in the wrong way.
Well, I think
Yes, we're going Star Wars here.
Harrison Ford dies.
If they don't know that by now, they're in trouble.
I just want you to know.
And Darth Vader's Luke's father.
But what's even the name of the last movie?
Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise of Skywalker.
And this is, mind you, Edwin's OG day one-ish of Star Wars. He doesn't even remember the last film.
A lot of like,
I don't mean to be one of those guys.
No.
Fair.
A lot of like people that are not casual fans of Star Wars. I mean, like people that like were heavy into it and like read the books and everything.
And we're there when you're.
They all feel the same way. Nobody likes what those movies did.
Well,
I watched the Force Awakens, and I'm just like,
yeah.
I mean, I watched Star Wars, but I don't know what this is.
I know people that like it. I'm sorry. You're wrong.
I can enjoy the Force Awakens with a certain amount of detachment.
Yes.
If I sit there and I don't think that this is a Star Wars movie, I can watch it for itself. And I think that the problem with The Rise of Skywalker is that J.J. Abrams is trying to squeeze two movies into one film.
Technically 3. It does a little bit of Jedi too.
Well, no. I don't mean his references, but I mean
gotcha.
what his story would have been
good call.
without, when that guy stepped in and made whatever The Last Jedi is. So that kind of sidetracked J.J. Abrams' story arc. And so he tries to squeeze all of that into, Skywalker, The Rise of Skywalker, and it doesn't work because it's just too much movie. You get all your emotional beats kind of like rammed together in between a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Where you get these, it's more about plots and subplots and like who her parents were and.
I know. And yeah, I'm that guy. Even though I hate Last Jedi, I hate it a million pieces over. I think it's the best one of the 3 solely because they tried something. He tried something
different, but don't give him too much credit.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Because
it's him trying in order to try it.
His morality was so simplistic in that movie. Exactly. It could have been a cartoon.
Yes.
He's like, I'm going to elevate this to film. He doesn't. The bad guys betray you. The good guys sacrifice. That's his whole moral message in that movie. It's that simplistic. It's like, get out of my face with that shit.
Yeah, and he's the one being torn with the studios compared to J.J. Abrams. To J.J. Abrams' credit,
because it was an unsuccessful film.
Yes.
He might have tried to elevate it the way that he could, and I get that I kind of sort of understand what he was trying to say. Like, you can't keep doing these Flash Gordon serials with like this silliness and still consider it film. But it's not like he gave us much more.
Yeah.
It's like, he gives us a MacGuffin and it's like, oh no, that's not going to work. It's like, all right, I see what you're doing, but none of this is more complex. What you're offering me isn't anything more.
Yeah.
You're offering me actually less. No.
Yeah.
Don't change things up. People like what they like. They watched it because that's what they wanted from that.
Yeah.
Don't switch it up and try to make it highbrow because that's what you think is supposed to be right. But you see that all the time. But that's Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's why they won't nominate any like superhero movies for anything because they're like, oh no, that's not. That's not art.
Even though they've won Best
It's
Actor
not-
categories, things
They
like
don't.
that.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They want to maintain things the way it is. It's the same way in politics. They want to maintain. The Democrats want to maintain things the way it is. They don't want these young Democratic socialists coming up and rising up the ranks the way that they are. They want to maintain the status quo because that's what they know, that's what they like, that's what they can control.
Yep.
But Hollywood wants to do the
Look,
same
man.
thing. They're like, here, you keep your Star Wars. This one clown tries to elevate it into what he thinks art is. Nobody cares about your dumb movies. You have a dumb name. You don't know how to spell it. Keep moving.
Rian Johnson.
If you didn't like what they were doing, don't take the money and do it. If you're this dude that's so into the art and what things are, then for the art, you shouldn't be taking the money to do something that you think is beneath you. Forget you, move on, leave that to somebody that's actually going to do it and actually likes it, because then you'll get a better product. Now you sullied whatever goofy reputation that you did have by doing this Star Wars movie that you thought you were going to elevate, and instead you put in the trash. And I didn't even watch the movie, but that's what he gets. I just hate people that think they know. That think they know what's better for the masses, and they think they're God with what is art and what isn't, and they don't know anything. Their idea of funny isn't funny. Their idea of good isn't good. It's just
Now I'm curious if you're ever going to watch Knives Out, because Knives Out is good, but I hate it.
did he do Knives Out?
Yes.
No. No, like, you know what? I've seen that movie like advertised like 1,000 times. And it has so many people in it that I thought it was fake. And
It does seem like a.
It's a weird.
It seems like a stunt.
It is, and it's like a weird experiment where people love it. I don't get it.
A lot of people like that
a
movie.
lot of people like it, and I know they're doing the sequel. I might eventually watch it, but
The actors are good. That's the redeeming part.
that's
of it.
the thing that threw me off. I'm like, this can't be real. There's way too many big name actors in this, and it didn't. And it was like released on like Amazon or something.
Maybe the Big N, Netflix.
No, I don't remember.
I don't
but
remember.
Yeah.
But
I don't remember. It was released somewhere, and I'm like, this doesn't really have a lot of fanfare to it.
But it had a weird I don't know, I can't explain it. I think it's because most of the people finally introduced to Rian Johnson's world, quote unquote. I've never been a fan of his movies. I'm not a big fan of Looper. Don't care about Brick, and of course he did The Last fucking Jedi.
I enjoyed Brick. I liked Brick. I watched Looper. I was disappointed because I was like,
I'm not sold on it. People love that movie too.
I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, I'm like, Joshua Gordon-Levitt is not Bruce Willis.
No, I agree.
I'm like, you can never I like him and some of the things that he does, but he's never gonna be as cool as Bruce Willis.
Never.
I'm sorry, it's just not gonna happen.
I agree. And Knives Out is technically his best one, but it's also saying it's not that good, guys. Come on. I know. It just.
I mean, Brick wasn't great, but it was different enough from what was out there at the time that everybody was like, "Oh my God!" They wet the bed for this guy, and yeah. So he hasn't, and I don't. What else has he done? Where it's like they keep giving him movies.
Yeah,
it's like M. Night Shyamalan. It's like, stop giving that man movies. Stop.
People, and he's a case study with that too.
Well, he's back. He's
technically
back. Yeah, he's back.
A lot of people like Devil. A lot of people liked Old too. Oddly enough, I just give up.
Did you like it? Did you watch it?
I didn't see both. I can't think of the last M. Night
But
Shyamalan
that seems like his. That seems like his cup of tea. Where it's like
whatever.
He does. He does movie-length Twilight Zone episodes.
Yeah.
That's what he does. And he likes to be in his films. And I will forever hate him for that Avatar: The Last Airbender movie that he did and butchered to pieces.
I know.
What could have been.
What should be, because hey.
Oh, well, to bring it full circle.
Oh,
I didn't even watch
Netflix
Legend
is
of Korra
supposed to be
because of
working
that.
on the live action version of that show.
I forgot about that. Good call.
I did not forget about it.
Let's see if it ever happens now with the things that with everything that's going on with that.
I hope they consider that animation and don't do it.
No, dude, they love their live action.
Yeah, but it's based on the animation, and they're cutting their animation, so I hope they don't do it.
I'm curious about One Piece now if they're going to continue.
No, they're going to do One Piece because it's actually live. I mean, I'm joking when I say that, but they're too deep with One Piece, and One Piece is too big,
and they're selling still. Yep.
People love One Piece, and it's not going away. So of course
I
they have
wonder
to
if people love One Piece because the same reason people love The Simpsons, because it's just been on so damn long.
No, you know what? And I've had discussions with people about this, and even people that are like recently starting it, they just really like it.
Okay.
Yeah,
they just really like it.
And in the poll initially with the waves, new generations get into anime, like Sword Art Online, for example. That generation grasping to the semi-older ones like Full Metal and One Piece. The young kids, hey, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen. Here's one that's kind of similar, but really out there though.
I wouldn't recommend Demon Slayer to a kid.
No. What I mean is the younger crops, the newer fans.
But what I'm saying is that some shows,
adult fans.
There you go.
Some shows,
I'm not showing Demon Slayer to a kid. It's too dark.
And violence, yes.
It's too dark. It's too dark.
What I'm saying, like with The Simpsons, it was funny when I was a kid. I watched like maybe to like the 6th or 7th season, and then I completely stopped.
That's the average fan, yeah.
But it's still on, and people are still watching it. And I'm wondering if that there are some people who like it because it's been on. It becomes part of not who they are, but part of their memory of life.
Well, and
you like with me, I have my shows from when I was a kid that I still think about. But, like it was like when streaming started and you could watch shows that you hadn't seen like decades because, here they are all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I went back and watched some of the shows, and some of the shows just weren't very good.
Yeah. Maybe.
A lot of things don't hold up when you go back and watch them.
Well, Simpsons for me, like I teetered out from the movie. And I didn't watch too much in between season 11 to like 15 or 16. I can't remember. Yeah. And I would see here and there instances. There's like a weird fandom. It's starting to become a cult, I would argue. Like they're like in the later seasons. And it's just, being ironic and being a hipster about it. But ultimately, like my progression with Simpsons ever since I was a kid to, mid-teens, I'm like, okay, ahead its time. And I feel like with One Piece, part of it's kind of like that weird pace with a lot of fans, similar to Berserk. But Berserk used to be very subdued because the show only debuted one season. And that's a show you guys have to watch. I recommend it. And the thing, though, is that because it's now advertised like a precursor to Demon Slayer, for example, people are going to latch on to that. So it's like a weird... That's my case study with One Piece, at least. I think there's like some type of latchment towards like what anime is, and the length, how long it's been with the volumes and with the actual show itself. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Pokemon's a similar trajectory too, and there's a familiarity with that aspect. It's still on. I'm still going to watch it.
Well, I think Pokemon has had a more of effect on American pop culture
a million times,
than One Piece has.
One Piece was it did debut on Fox Kids, for example. But that was like the first 2 seasons, and people liked it. It's just a matter of like, was it really popular? I don't remember it being that popular.
It was. I mean,
not here.
Yeah,
exactly.
Not here,
but in Japan,
that's
different story in Japan.
The time is different.
Yeah.
I mean, now One Piece is like, it's one of those shows where if you're new to anime, that's what you watch.
Because a lot of people will recommend it.
It's that simple. It's like a lot of people will recommend it, but it's also the intrigue of this thing has been on forever and the people are talking about it. I'll watch it. It's just a kid that's like on a boat. It's a pirate or something. I mean, it's something.
Yeah, it's a pirate. It sounds like a pirate shonen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to take in, so I can understand why it has the popularity that it has. It's just that's a lot for me to have to invest in. 'Cause we're
1,000 episodes.
Over 1,000 episodes. We're looking at decades
Yeah.
worth of material. And then not only that, it's like you're starting from the beginning and you're looking at this animation style. And sometimes it's hard to go backwards and watch that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's a thing with Yu-Gi-Oh, for example. That's a thing with Pokemon, even, I would argue. Like, it's definitely of its time to have our animation.
Well, when we went to see Nausicaa with that friend of mine, and I said, and she made a comment about the animation. I was like, well, it was released in the 80s, and she's like, yeah, I could tell. And I'm like, well, it wasn't as sophisticated. Some of the artwork wasn't as sophisticated back then. I mean, because
and then Ghibli just starting off. It's literally their first film. So, wow,
you gotta be able to turn that off, and not a lot of people are able to do that.
At least nowadays, I would argue, because when I was a kid watching VHS tapes of Bambi, Cinderella, very old 50s Disney classics, they still had a charm. Something about it still made it work. And now with the case of Pokemon and One Piece, even, it's like, ooh, okay.
Well, the technology has changed so much
and
over time.
They're competing against Jujutsu Kaisen, the top dogs,
or even just like the appearance of the characters, the facial expressions,
very exaggerated. And the closest one, a lot of people are big, having more of a fandom with, is JoJo, kind of like a Stark, style.
Well, also what can blow your mind is story structure.
Yeah, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a more simplistic back in the 80s. I mean, over time, you get people develop like different storytelling styles and different, more sophisticated like subplots or characters or different things that they pick up from different places.
Yeah.
And so even then, like a lot of older stuff is a lot slower paced.
Yeah.
There's not as much going on. Or the stories are more simplistic, like Robot Rescues Dog. And you're like, they're spending a whole episode on that? Yeah, so it's like, yeah.
No, but ironically, a show like Komi Can't Communicate is all about a girl trying to make friends, 100 friends. And
well, Jamaal and I were talking about this before you got here.
Yeah.
And for me, Komi is more like Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
It's more of a comic strip than it is like other shows, where other shows will dedicate stuff to, like me and Jamaal said, like, they'll dedicate it to like a romance or, the comedy. Komi is a strip, and he brings in the 100 characters are meant to give him enough material to do a strip. And essentially it breaks down as a strip of like anime stereotype characters.
Yeah.
And
exaggerated,
and almost like a yearbook. Like, hey, you went to school with this kid.
Yeah.
Like you recognize this archetype.
Even adults too.
Yeah, you went to school with this kid.
Yeah.
So
these are these are the quiet people.
It kind of works as a more simplified. It's more simplified because it's more like a comic strip.
Yeah. But
than a full-on manga.
And it's so unique, and it's finally having that pull with the anime, and it's one of those things. Once people see their eyes, and that's just the overall take with Komi in a weird way, because I like to meet those people who are like, you know what, Komi was the first thing I ever watched and I loved it. I can't wait for that 10, 20 years from now, to be honest.
But he wasn't in his top 5.
Yeah, I'm just glad it's on, because I'm just glad it's on because
it was
you've been raving about Komi for years.
Yeah.
And I never read it, so watching it now, it's like, okay, I got Jack off my back with this one. Thank you.
Well, Edwin initially, because it was like a good perfect triangle. Like,
I read we got the first episode.
Yeah.
We got the first issue into the store, and I said, this looks cool, and I read it and I loved it, and I'm like, you guys have to read this. And then I don't know, 19 volumes later,
here we are,
and an anime, here we are.
Yep. And then
and a podcast,
and full circle too, because Jamaal was the one who told me that, oh, you can watch it instead of Netflix. I'm like, yeah, I'd gladly do that.
Oh no,
the streets are always gonna find a way.
Here we go,
and Netflix is gonna find that out, because they're gonna keep raising these prices and trying to stop people from doing the password sharing, and people are going to leave. And then they're using that as an excuse to stop their animation. And it's just like, oh, okay, cool. Your best animation was stuff that you didn't produce anyway.
Yep.
It was what, like Boss Baby and whatever other things that DreamWorks or whatever is doing for 'em.
Animation is an expensive proposition.
Yeah.
You're talking about studios and stuff.
Yeah.
Even Love, Death, and Robots.
Developing that stuff, having your own like animation studio, that's an expensive proposition when most of your shows are just a few people and a camera.
Yeah.
And that's if it's scripted, because they do a lot of documentaries. They, there's a lot of stuff that they don't do that is fully scripted.
Yeah.
Or
beginning to, or at least their later years. Yeah.
So it's like, I can see why in their minds, hey, this might save us some money, especially if we just throw money at other animation studios instead of producing our own stuff.
And that's the most ironic freaking part about Netflix. Their smallest projects, or at least like they didn't think twice about the budget. Stranger Things, Joe Exotic, or whatever the fuck that show is called. And then the Squid Games. Hey, that's their bread and butter. But they was shotgun. Those projects were literally shotgun. Like, we'll try it.
They don't know what their Netflix is in a dilemma.
They don't have a plan.
And they need to figure out what they want to be. Do they want to be content creators or do they want to be content distributors? They need to figure that out.
They want to be both.
And that's the problem.
And they can't.
They want to be both, so they throw money at everything.
Well, because
and they're just hoping something sticks. Well, you can't be both. If you want to create content,
well, because nobody had a business model for a streaming service.
Yeah, but they didn't evolve, and that's their problem.
Didn't. Well, because everybody was changing because they were the giant, they were the king, and so they're like, we're the king, we're always going to be the king. Nothing's going to knock us down. Yeah, and then Disney bought everything.
Yep.
Disney bought everything, and then you had Apple because these people realized that nobody cared about the devices anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about the device. They're just going to watch it, whether it be their laptop or their phone.
Sharing the password.
The money was in the subscriptions.
Yep.
We talked about this, Jamaal. Subscriptions. These people coming into your pocket every month and taking money out of your pocket. That's what they wanted. They want to be, they want that sweet money every month.
The money is always in the comeback.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, man.
So everybody's in the streaming thing now.
Yeah.
Everybody, Paramount, there's like a
Fox,
there's a new one like every week.
Yeah.
And so at first you could ignore it as a bunch of flies swarming around Netflix. It's like, oh, we can ignore this. And it came to a point when they couldn't.
Nope.
They couldn't ignore it anymore.
And weirdly, their basics more like Hulu, for example. They're like, yeah, we do ads, but hey, it's cheap. It's commercials. We need the revenue. And it's owned by Comcast. Fair. And people still checked on it because they had Fox shows.
No.
The crazy thing was...
They had Fox, I thought. Or FX, at least.
No,
Disney bought Fox.
Oh, now, well, this is initially.
Hulu is Disney.
Initially. Now Disney has it. Yes, good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
So
I think it was
initially.
21st century.
Well, the weird thing was that some people were just watching Netflix, like Jamaal said, they were using it as a content distributor. It was a streaming service where they could watch Friends or Frasier or The Office, and that's all they used it for. They didn't want to watch any of Netflix stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't. They just wanted to go and watch their comfort shows, and that's all they wanted it for. And as Netflix started to lose those shows little by little, people started to leave. And regardless of whether they came up with something popular, they didn't have anything like these shows. I don't care what Netflix says. There's no show that people are going back and watching again and again and again that Netflix owns, because Netflix worked like a cable company where they created 6-episode seasons where people could binge that in one night and then it's over. What do you do with that?
Yeah, I know.
If there's like 7 seasons of something else like Frasier or Friends or The Office, that you can watch for a long amount of time, and then you can go back and rewatch it again because it has your favorite moments that you remember and you want to see. Netflix doesn't have anything like that.
No.
And they haven't spent the time to develop things like that. Netflix needs to go back to the 90s or back to the 80s, back to the early 90s, and create a television station the way they did. They need to plan that shit out. They need to say, hey, so for this season, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. We're going to have like our show that does our documentary show.
Or cheap budget.
Views.
Yeah.
Get the people to watch the shows.
Yes,
people, create stuff that people like, keep it on the air, keep it streaming for more than 3 seasons so that you have the content, but develop that content over time.
Yeah.
They don't do that.
No.
They
Like
do
Jamaal
the
opposite.
And like
you
said,
the opposite.
Jamaal said they throw spaghetti at the wall, whatever sticks, and you're like the shotgun creations that get like, oh, they're popular, and like, let's throw all our money in that. And then they're like, all right, they're like,
they're broke as hell.
well, they're like a dog. It's like, all right, I'm gonna go sniff this tree, then I'm gonna go sniff that tree, then I'm gonna go sniff that, then I'm gonna go sniff this dog's butt, and I'm not gonna pay attention to anything. I'm not gonna pay attention to anything.
Yep.
It's like it's psychotic. They're all over the place.
They won't figure it out.
No.
Be one or the other. Do content creation.
Well, that's the thing. They're so deep in
or
mud.
Content, just because like they just throw money at stuff.
I know.
They just throw money at stuff, and it's just like, come up with a concrete plan. If you're going to be a content creator, drop out the distribution game. We're not going to be spending $500 million to get Jerry Seinfeld on our
He doesn't
app.
need another $500 million, guys.
We're gonna put this. You have a worldwide customer base. If you create content for the Netflix, people are going to watch it. It's an established entity at this point. You're going to lose people, but you're not going to lose hundreds of millions of people, because once people get established to something, they're hooked on it.
Yeah.
It's like when they give you a free trial of something for a month, people are like,
but they
right,
have no respect
keep
for
going.
people either.
No.
They have no respect for people. When people like something, regardless of who's going to keep up with it, they're like, nope, 3 seasons, fuck you, that's it. Nobody's going to, it's going to drop consistently after those 3 seasons. It's like, yeah, but you still have fans. You still have people who are watching this. They're going to keep coming back to this. And if they keep coming back to it, you're going to have a solid base of people who watch this show.
Yeah.
But if you keep burning people again and again and again, where they're like, fuck, Netflix is just going to kill this show. Eventually they're going to say, fuck you, Netflix. I like this show. I know it's going to go past the season or 3. I'm out.
Yep.
well, they're going to kill it because their attention fall. It's like, all right, this show came out, and it came out like gangbusters, and it's #1 on our app, and it's got a lot of talk and everything. And then the next season come out, and I'm sure it still does good numbers, but it's like, it's not like #1. All right, we're going to cancel it. Let's go move on.
Well, see, the
It's
problem
just like,
too,
no, don't do that.
They don't have the numbers, but the problem is too, they drag ass
Yeah.
on bringing about new episodes.
And
for
even the
something.
episodes themselves feel dragged. in a
Well,
weird
you
way.
wait, you
Because
watch
they're
a show.
so split-brained on everything.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, they don't know what's going to hit, so there's no plan for it.
No.
So then it's like, all right, we're going to throw this show out there. And it's like, if you have a show, then the person that created the show should be able to tell you, I have 3 seasons worth of content. If they tell you got 3 seasons, then plan for the 3.
No.
These people are just throwing out shows, and then it's like, all right, we got hit.
No.
Let's come up with something else.
See, I would be an asshole. Somebody creates something, it does really well. They say, well, I don't have any more stories. Okay, thank you, goodbye. And they're like, what? We're going to bring this guy in. He's going to keep this going for us.
Yeah.
Because this show is good, so he's going to make it either better, but regardless, we're going to keep it going because we want to keep it going, because we want the viewers. We want something that they're going to come back and keep watching again and again and again. But they don't have anything.
Yeah.
But you have a short shelf life with that, too. You have a short shelf life with that because people will realize that once people catch on that you're putting something out that's run its course and you're just keeping it going because it's popular, if you do that a few times, people are going to say, all right, I know the game with this. I'm just not even going to start getting invested because I know it's going to get bad.
Yeah.
But think about you there. Yes, there's that. There's definitely that. But think about Friends. Neither of you guys like Friends.
I'd never want to think about Friends.
But how many people do?
A lot.
Or
The Office.
Or
yes.
Seinfeld.
A lot of people do.
Look, I like Seinfeld. It made me laugh. But there was an ickiness to that show. I'm like, oh God, these people.
I know they're
You don't-
beyond their size.
They're not nice people. And they're Jerry's vain, Elaine's crazy, George is a mess. You watch it and you laugh at them, but there's a certain point where you cross over and you're like, what am I laughing at?
Yeah.
But people still like it.
It's same thing with Friends too.
Same thing with
I
Friends.
remember.
Is I've heard so many criticisms about like the misogyny, the homophobia, the downright
Racism,
like
yeah.
and you know the exclusionism
Yep.
of other people
In
and,
New York City.
yeah, and the stereotypes of all kinds of stuff. So I've heard a lot of stuff that's negative about these shows, but people still find comfort in them. They still want to go back and rewatch them. So, and did some of them last longer than they should have? Yes.
I
We
agree.
know,
I
yes.
agree.
Look, the game is the game. But at the end of the day, you got to decide what you want to do.
Yeah.
Look. We've all heard the express. It's easy. It's not easy. Once you get to the top, it's harder to maintain your position on the top than it is to get there. They've been on the top for a long time.
A good stretch, yeah.
And
Well, they were the only name in the game.
They rested on their laurels.
Yeah.
They're making the same mistake the Blockbuster made.
Ironically enough.
Blockbuster made this mistake. They were number one in the game. They bodied the rental game, and then Netflix came along, and they just kind of pussyfooted around with it.
Yeah.
And then they started some little Blockbuster online thing, and they were just like, yeah, we'll do a little something. And they didn't see the train coming with Netflix, and Netflix took over, and then they tried to hustle and bustle, but by that time it's too late. Netflix is in that position now. You saw what could happen if you don't evolve.
Yeah.
They didn't evolve, and now they're trying to figure out ways of evolving, but it's too late.
Well,
you need to hard reset. You need to figure out if you're going to be a content creator or a content distributor. If you're going to create, you need to say, look, we have contracts with these things, with Seinfeld and whatnot, but after this goes, we're going to be exclusively into content creation.
Yeah.
You threw a lot of money at Adam Sandler. You threw a lot of money at Shonda Rhimes. You threw a lot of money at
You name it.
Kenya Barris.
Yep.
You've thrown a lot of money at all of these people. Utilize them. You're saying they should be like a cable company. They have it because they have all these creators from these cable companies that they're plucking from these TV shows and saying, here, come create for us. If you want to do creation. And that's how you do it. And so you can say, look, we have the next Shonda Rhimes thing coming out. Here's our fall slate of shows. We have this, 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 we have this. This is our spring slate of shows. We have this, we have this, we have this, we have this. And this gives these people time to create their shows. Or you go into content distribution and you say, look, we may still create some every now and then, but we're going to distribute. You're already, you with your stand-up comedians, they're already selling their sets.
Yeah.
They're saying, look, I have this prepackaged thing for you. You just distribute it. You're already buying the rights to these movies like Red Notice. Here's a movie. Who's going to distribute it? You're buying it. If that's what you're going to do it. Do it. Just say, all right, this is it. But buy it as your own content. Don't spend $500 million on Seinfeld. Even though you know it's going to get you views and people going, spend that money on, you created this show.
I don't think
you're
it's only
shopping this show. We'll take it.
Yeah.
All right, you got 3 seasons of the show planned out. We'll give you the 3. If you get more and it gets popular, then we'll give you more. If that's what you're going to do that. But figure out what you want to do instead of just throwing money here, there, and everywhere and trying to pick up on the fly because you're not evolving. Disney has they have their own thing, but when it comes to Marvel and Star Wars, they know exactly what they're doing.
Now they do.
They know exactly what they're doing.
Well, they've been
and
their time.
And it's keeping that app afloat.
Yeah.
It's keeping that app afloat. Hulu has their own exclusive content.
Yeah.
HBO has their own exclusive content, and they're constantly pushing it.
Yeah. And ironically, they're the top dog now because they pretty much had it beforehand. Netflix literally had to grab every inch they got from evolving, things like that. But now they're stalling.
Well, Netflix evolved. The last evolution Netflix had was they went from we're going to stop being the people that will ship you DVDs and we're going to stream it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last evolution they've had.
Well, yeah, because I would wait until something. I'm like, I'll wait till it's on Netflix, and then that stopped happening because everybody started keeping their own stuff, and so now it's like, what exactly is Netflix for? If I'm gonna watch, if I want to watch Star Trek, that's on another station.
Anime, like
if I want to watch,
anime,
and the thing, and that started a while ago. Like if I wanted to watch Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, I couldn't on Netflix.
Yeah,
somebody else was, I think Showtime was holding on to them like with a death grip, and so it was like, all right, so there's some things that I still need to own on DVD or whatever because I can't watch them on Netflix.
I was one of the last DVD guys. I was still streaming rent or DVD rent.
I think it's still.
It's still kind of, and I've been pounding going back.
I think
the
it's
Family Video around me closed down.
Yeah, it still exists in a way.
And I hope it makes a comeback. It should.
But there's still mom and pop shits.
Well, that, but more of like, okay, it's not streaming anywhere. There is a physical copy out there.
Well, you knew that you could watch things on Netflix, and that's why you got the subscription.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they want to keep like distributing, being a content distributor, because they know that people will pay the subscription to be able to access those shows without having to buy DVDs or having a DVD player, because they can't play the DVD on their phone. They can play Netflix on their phone, on their tablet, wherever, and their kids, it can babysit their kids.
Yeah.
So they want those shows that they know are familiar and that people will pay that subscription each month without thinking about it.
But that's the problem. They don't own those shows.
Not anymore.
And like you said, all these people are coming out, so anybody can marvel them. Anybody can say, hey, we have our own app. We're pulling the show.
Yeah.
Hey, we have. So you want to do that. You want to have these comfortable shows that people know and like and everything. Friends got pulled from there because HBO said, it's our show. We're going to put it on our app. You don't get it no more.
Well, because they knew.
Which is why they had to go. And then they had The Office. And then Peacock was like, nah, we're going to pull that for our own thing. Which is why they went to Seinfeld. Eventually, you're going to run out of big titles.
Yeah.
So again, it all is going to come down to: are you going to be creation or distribution? One way or another, however they want to cut it, they're going to have to make a hard decision on what they want to do.
Well, they're
just floating.
They're not going to have a choice anymore.
Exactly.
They're not going to have a choice.
I'm the type of person where, look, man, change is inevitable. Change is going to happen. We all are going to have to make adjustments. You have two options. You can either make the adjustment and have some control over it, or the change is going to happen to you regardless, and now you have to adapt afterwards.
Yeah.
And be in control of the change.
They seem to not want to accept responsibility for what's happened.
There's no accountability on Netflix whatsoever.
None.
No,
they blame their customers, which is only going to make people leave.
That to me, that's the death note right there. Ironically,
well, they did not. Hold on, I lost my train of thought.
Death Note is.
Yeah, Death Note was so bad that they just.
Well,
live action was so bad that they just.
Well, they've had some bad business practices. I mean, we watched Cowboy Bebop. It's like, how much money did you spend without even thinking, without having any respect for the source material, with something that could have been huge for you.
Or
like, I have been waiting so long for Netflix to make a sci-fi show that I actually like and that I can come back to again and again and again, the way I do with like something like Deep Space Nine. And they just won't.
Yeah.
They just won't. They won't do it. They can't do it. I don't know what it is.
Apple has Foundation. Amazon has.
And I mean, I thought to myself, okay, just do something cheesy like you did like they did in the 90s with, syndicated shows. And they can't even do that. They did Cowboy Bebop, and it was such a horror show that I'm like, this is never going to happen.
And it's part of their like pull with anime. They've been steady with anime mainly because of stuff that's made in Japan.
Yeah.
So,
well, my thing is like, you have to have shows that are going to interest different viewers.
Yeah.
You can't, like, some of these streaming services have that one show or that one thing that people are going to go for because they want to watch it.
Yeah.
So like, do I want to pay $6.99 a week, a month, so that I can keep watching Friends for the rest of my life? Maybe they'll actually do that. But does Netflix have anything where I want to pay $15 a month for the rest of my life?
That was
to watch. And I'm like, the answer is quickly becoming no.
Yeah. Well, the answer was Stranger Things, and guess what? The final season. That's it. They'll probably rerun the hell of it. They'll reboot it probably if Netflix is around for 10 years. I doubt it.
Well, there's no reruns. It's streaming. So
it's streaming.
You can binge it whenever you want.
That's what I mean.
But
technically, it's a free rerun. Yeah.
But it's the same thing. It's the same problem that you run into anything else, like whether it's cable or whether it's, like even cable, they have like sometimes 8 seasons. They might be 6 episodes a season.
Yeah.
But it's still like 8 seasons, 4 to 8 seasons.
Yeah.
Which is more than Netflix. Yeah. And even when
stations like TBS, they show reruns like Big Bang and things like that.
I have not rewatched Stranger Things.
Yeah. Same here.
I watched them initially. I enjoyed them, but it wasn't. There's just too much shit going. There's too much content. You have to create something like I will, like, no matter what, I will go back and rewatch Frasier.
Yeah.
Like I won't rewatch.
X-Files. Yeah.
I won't rewatch entire seasons. There's certain shows where Frasier. I'll always watch Frasier.
Yeah.
No matter where it's at, I will always rewatch Frasier. It's hilarious. I love it. I love the family dynamic. Same thing with Deep Space Nine or Babylon 5. There's just some shows that I will always rewatch. Netflix doesn't have those.
Yeah. At least for the originals.
I think for some people, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, maybe as their audience grows older, maybe some of these kids will be like, well, I watched this on Netflix, and so I want to go back and rewatch it. So maybe that'll happen, but they have to be around for that to happen.
That's the thing, I doubt.
And it's like, will they?
Yeah. I think they'll be around, man. I think they have too much name value.
And people are still subscribed, even though they haven't raised the rates just yet.
Well, they
just raised the rates.
Okay, well, the last one, but they're going to do it again next year.
Well, let's go.
I think they just raised it like $2.
Okay,
let's pause for a second, because will they be around? Maybe the answer is yes, but the thing now is that a lot of these other streaming services are in their infancy.
Yeah,
like Disney,
Hulu,
and Apple. Hulu's been around for a while.
They're
interesting though. They're case study.
Hulu's been around for a long time.
Hulu's kind of the high dive of the streaming world.
And it's a perfect balance, that I would argue.
Well, my thing is, it's like Jamaal said, the next evolution. So what happens when Disney says, what if they adopt the model that we've been talking about, where they do like seasonal stuff and they develop shows where you can watch, okay, I'm watching, like I watched this show. Oh, I like this show. There's 16 episodes, 12 to 16 episodes, maybe 24 episodes.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, 6 months later, there's another 24 episodes. Oh, wow. I like this. There's more of it. It's still good. I'm going to keep watching it. So what happens when the other streaming services start to realize that people want this content on a regular basis?
And if Netflix is not doing it.
And Netflix isn't doing it.
Death.
Mm-hmm.
Death.
Yeah. Because they can't continue with their model.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
But Jamal does bring a good point. It's still gonna it will still has name value. Maybe 3 years will be a different story. Maybe they have bounce back. Maybe they have another stupid Squid Games. I don't know. It's like,
Oh, they're already planning Squid Game
well,
season 2.
what I mean is like a sensation, like Squid Games. There you go.
They'll be around, man. It's just, but are they? It's just the level at.
Will they be the top
what
dog?
Are they going to be?
Yeah.
Are they still going to be WWE or are they going to be Impact?
Or AEW.
Like
Jamal's like, nah.
So it's like you can be. You can have that name value, but if you tarnish your name enough, you would still be around, but you let others go over you.
Yeah.
So, look, man, for their sake and the sake of all of their stakeholders that invested a lot of money in them, I hope that they figure something out. But they got a long road ahead of them, and they need to look in the mirror and be accountable for what they're doing, because people have been saying for a long time that there's nothing on Netflix, and now they're starting to act on it and they're just cutting them off because they keep raising the price and dropping nonsensical content. You got lucky, man. The pandemic saved you. The pandemic saved you because people were inside and they had nothing to do, and so they started streaming a bunch of stuff that they didn't even care about. So Joe Exotic goes crazy with Tiger King because people don't have anything, and then Abducted in Plain Sight goes crazy because people don't have anything. So all these things are just going crazy for you, and you're starting to think that you're doing something good, and it's just like, no.
This is
you
logistics.
just had more eyes on the TV because they had nothing else to do.
But
now that the focus has changed, and now people don't have to devote themselves to there, it's hard for shows to put out stuff on weekends because people are out.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like Netflix, you have people out now. You can't people's not going to watch your stuff anymore because they have other options of things to do.
That's all the streaming services though.
Yeah.
Because I think the pandemic kind of put a pause on a lot of things. I think that it gave them kind of like you said, an exaggerated sense of self-importance
and confidence. Yeah,
but also it kept them from. I think that if things had kept going the way they were going, these problems would have been maybe happening. Netflix would be having these problems in early 2021.
Oh yeah,
instead of like
and
a
what
year
if the
later.
pandemic didn't even happen? Who knows?
Yeah, well, I think that I think Netflix would have been experiencing these problems a lot sooner.
Yeah.
And then the other crazy thing is, would a lot of these streaming services be around if it weren't for the pandemic? Because they saw the numbers of people who were staying at home.
Starting with Hulu.
Yeah.
And HBO finally making that
Hulu's
push.
growth, yeah.
Hulu is always there.
Because they always give free trials and stuff. They actually care. And ironically, they're owned by Comcast, the devil.
No, Hulu's owned by Disney.
Now it's Disney. Yeah.
I thought it was
Hulu's been owned by Disney.
Yeah, there's been a lot of like selling and mergers and all kinds of stuff.
And Netflix owes money to Comcast.
One of the
if
you like animation, and if you like DC, one of the interesting things there is that HBO's now with Discovery Plus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Discovery Plus, the head of Discovery Plus has just canceled all of the DC stuff. Well, 2 of the DC things, but he wants to essentially relaunch. He wants to take a more hands-on role in the DC cinematic universe, and he wants something similar to what Marvel has been doing. Yeah. For the last 10 years.
Yeah, it seems like HBO has that at bay at the moment, too. So, yeah.
Well, that's with Warner Brothers. But it'll be interesting to see what that means because their animation arm has always put out consistently good stuff.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
Those direct-to-DVD animation ones have almost always been better than a lot of their live-action stuff.
They're excellent. The Batman stuff especially.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But it'll also be interesting to see what happens with the DC cinematic universe going forward. because a lot of those movies are on hold now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what happens.
A lot of those movies are on hold. Some are canceled because actors are idiots.
I never liked that kid for the Flash.
I never liked him either, and I thought he was a lousy Flash. He was, in a way, he was a good Flash because he was incredibly annoying.
You're talking about Ezra Miller.
I wasn't even going to say his face.
Fair enough.
His name.
I was making sure because I wasn't sure you were
he
talking
just
about
has
the
a
CW
very
show.
punchable face and demeanor about him, so I can understand. And I don't know why he's so mad at the world.
Hey, screw him.
Because the world should be mad at him.
It's all press.
He's annoying.
I'm a bad boy. Get out of here.
Who knows? Who
He
cares?
is a bad boy until he runs into somebody with that game and they knock him out in the Flash.
Fair enough.
He's almost Ryan Reynolds level annoying. He's almost Ryan Reynolds
and not
level
as funny.
annoying.
No comment. No comment.
But that's just because I irrationally hate Ryan Reynolds.
He's your SAO.
He's my SAO. No, Jack has a reason why he hates SAO. I can't really tell you why I dislike Ryan Reynolds so much. I just can't stand it, dude.
Okay.
And I hate Mark Wahlberg. And I have reasons. I have to find that one person I hate for no reason. It'll take a while.
my dislike for Ryan Reynolds is irrational. I know it is. I can't explain it, but I just can't stand it, dude. And that Flash dude is right there with him.
Starting to be,
He's right there with him.
Yeah.
But at least I have reasons to dislike him because he's just an idiot.
Yeah.
All right. And on that note, we are going to wrap up this episode.
Wait.
Okay.
I got one more thing.
One more thing.
Oh, okay.
I got one more thing.
Sorry,
I did
Jamaal,
watch 2 episodes of Konosuba.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
nice.
Cool.
How'd
And I
you
didn't
like
see that.
I watched 2 episodes like before I left to come here.
Oh, nice. How did you like that?
I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
You just need a couple more then.
It's a popular one, and I think it's
yeah.
kind of a parody of ReZero.
Yeah.
I kind of get the idea that it's a parody of of other isekais.
Yeah.
Like as soon as he from the beginning, when he pushed the girl away from the truck, and she's like, "It wasn't a truck; it was a tractor."
The trope.
And it was gonna stop. You just died of shock, and it's just like, "Oh, okay, I get it."
Yeah.
And
then
is funny.
Aqua, the horrible goddess.
And it's full circle.
Yeah.
She's so incompetent. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's like, "What? I want to take you."
yeah.
And she's like, "What? No, I'm." And then they're like, "Yeah, you can go. We'll be okay." She's like, "What?" Yeah. Oh yeah. There's gonna be a lot more of that. They play with a lot of. It's there's a lot of references to other anime. There's a lot of sarcasm and perversion, and it makes fun of isekai. So I think you'll like it. I think you'll enjoy that.
That is going to be my newest endeavor, and that was like my secret catch up for you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Overall, we're going to do it. I think we would do an isekai roundtable with Jesse.
Yeah.
So we got to catch up with our
Yeah,
isekais.
we got to bring Martin in there too.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a free for all.
Because I definitely lied to you out there and said I didn't watch it.
I understand why now. You wanted to surprise me.
Yep.
Yeah, it was my surprise catch up for you. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
And also for you, Kyle, who keeps bugging me about watching it.
Yeah,
Shout
Kyle.
out to Kyle.
So now we can properly end the show.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and share. Leave your comments. We appreciate them. We like hearing from you guys. And that's it for another episode of
The 950
Club.
Now let's go get some pizza.
Pizza time.
Awesome. Cowabunga.